A millionaire faced public humiliation when his card was declined. Amidst cruel laughter, a humble maid stepped forward, offering to pay. What happened next changed everything. Before continuing, write in the comments where you are listening from. And at the end, I would like to know your opinion about the story's outcome. Arthur awoke in his lavish penthouse, his mind already consumed by the stack of work documents on his nightstand, a stark reminder of his late wife's absence. The silence in the sprawling apartment often amplified his thoughts, a constant hum of unfulfilled expectations, and the immense pressure of his tech empire. He missed the comforting chaos of her presence more than words could express, but work offered a relentless, if hollow, distraction. Lily, his 6-year-old daughter, a vibrant splash of color in her red shirt, then entered his study, clutching a new drawing. "Daddy, look at my unicorn!" she exclaimed, holding up the colorful paper with wide, hopeful eyes. Arthur, distracted by the screens around him, but trying to be present, forced a smile, his mind still halfway in a complex financial report. He gently ruffled her hair. "That's wonderful, my little star," he promised, making a mental note to escape his obligations for her. "I'll take you to the store for that new doll you wanted after my meeting today, I promise." Lily's face lit up instantly, her small hand briefly squeezing his before she scampered off. At his high-tech office, Arthur's assistant mentioned minor financial discrepancies, a flicker of concern in her voice. "Just a minor glitch, no need to worry," Arthur stated dismissively, his confidence unshaken by what he considered trivial errors. His empire felt too vast, too secure for such small issues to truly matter. Yet, an hour later, his attempts to reach his bank for clarification were met with an unusual silence and unreturned calls, a subtle unease beginning to gnaw at him. Each unanswered ring added to a growing sense of foreboding that contradicted his earlier nonchalance, hinting at something far more unsettling. He pushed the growing anxiety aside, convinced his untouchable wealth and status made him immune to such petty issues, clinging to his pride as a shield. He had built everything with his own hands, or so he believed, and such small obstacles simply melted away before his influence. Returning home late, Arthur found Lily patiently waiting for him by the grand staircase, her hopeful eyes fixed on the promise of the new toy. "Daddy, we're still going, right?" she asked softly, her voice barely a whisper, stirring a pang of guilt in his heart that momentarily outweighed his mounting worries. Determined to make amends and chase away her hopeful sadness, Arthur decided to take Lily to the supermarket immediately, despite his own exhaustion and the lingering, unsettling silence from his bank. He desperately needed to see her smile, to erase the day's stress with a simple act of fatherly love. Inside the brightly lit supermarket, Arthur, still impeccably dressed in his dark blue suit, watched as Lily's face lit up, choosing a new doll, momentarily easing his internal stress. "This one, Daddy, it's beautiful!" she cried, holding up a sparkling toy, her joy radiating through the aisle. At the checkout, the cashier scanned their items. Arthur confidently presented his card, but the machine flashed, declined. The cashier's smirk turned into a loud, mocking laugh. Customers began to point and whisper, and Lily looked up at her father with wide, fearful eyes, as a kind-faced maid stepped forward to offer help. How could a man who seemed to command everything fall so spectacularly? And what secrets lie behind this public shame? Before continuing, if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any stories. Isabella, with a quiet grace, stepped forward from the line, her voice calm amidst the sudden chaos and mocking laughter. "I can pay for this," she offered gently to the startled cashier, already opening her humble wallet. Her presence, simple yet dignified in her uniform, brought an unexpected hush to the once jeering crowd, a stark contrast to the millionaire's unraveling composure. Arthur, stunned into silence, felt a confusing wave of shame and bewildered gratitude wash over him as Isabella completed the transaction. Her simple act, born of pure compassion, silenced the mocking customers, who now looked away, embarrassed by their earlier cruelty. "Thank you," Arthur managed, his voice barely a whisper, a stark admission of his unexpected helplessness. The cashier, previously laughing with unrestrained glee, now looked visibly uncomfortable, her smirk replaced by a flustered expression. Other customers, who moments before had pointed and whispered, now averted their eyes, seemingly embarrassed by their earlier cruelty and Isabella's unexpected, selfless intervention. The silence in the checkout aisle was now heavy, filled with unspoken regret. As Isabella quickly gathered her own few groceries, Arthur tried to get her name or contact information, a desperate need to repay her welling up inside him. "Please, I need to repay you," he pleaded, his voice tinged with urgency. She, however, gently shook her head, offering a warm, serene smile. "God bless you," she whispered, her eyes meeting his with profound kindness, before disappearing into the bustling crowd, leaving Arthur bewildered. Outside the supermarket, Lily clung tightly to Arthur's hand, her small fingers clutching his, the recent humiliation still fresh in their minds. "Daddy, why did that kind lady help us?" she asked, her voice small and filled with innocent confusion. Arthur pulled her closer, the question echoing his own unspoken wonder, a strange mix of relief and lingering embarrassment. Back at his opulent penthouse, Arthur immediately tried to contact his bank again, demanding an explanation for the humiliating card refusal. The branch manager, flustered and apologetic, confirmed his accounts were indeed frozen due to an unexplained security breach. "This is impossible," Arthur declared, his voice tight with a mixture of disbelief and growing alarm, sensing a deeper, more sinister game afoot. A chilling realization began to dawn on him. This was no random glitch or security error. He remembered a heated argument with his uncle, Silas, weeks ago about the control of the family business. "He always coveted my father's legacy, even after all these years," Arthur mused grimly, the pieces of a malicious puzzle slowly beginning to fit into place. The weight of his sudden vulnerability crushed his usual unshakable pride. To be helped by a simple maid, a stranger, when he, a powerful millionaire, couldn't even pay for basic groceries, was a bitter pill he struggled to swallow. His carefully constructed world, built on wealth and control, felt precariously unstable. Lily, noticing his distress and the dark cloud that now hung over him, innocently commented, "The kind lady was like an angel, Daddy. Mummy always said God sends angels to help us when we're sad." Her words pierced Arthur's hardened heart, reminding him of a faith he had long forgotten, a light in his unexpected darkness. Driven by a mixture of gratitude, determination to uncover the truth, and a burgeoning suspicion about Silas, Arthur made a crucial call. "Ethan," he said, his voice firm with renewed purpose, "we have a problem, a very serious one, and I need to find someone." But what dangerous web had been woven around him, and could this mysterious maid be the unexpected key to unraveling it all? Arthur, consumed by the urgent need for answers, immediately directed Ethan to launch a full investigation into his frozen accounts, convinced this financial crisis was no mere accident. He paced his luxurious office, the stillness of the room doing little to calm the storm raging inside him, a storm fueled by bewildering humiliation and growing suspicion. Ethan's initial findings revealed a complex web of shell corporations and intricate digital attacks, confirming a sophisticated, targeted financial assault. "This wasn't a random hack, Arthur. Someone meticulously planned this to perfection," Ethan reported gravely over the phone. Arthur's stomach clenched. His uncle's face flashed in his mind, confirming his worst fears. Simultaneously, Arthur, haunted by the maid's unexpected kindness, pressed Ethan to discreetly locate her, providing the few details he remembered from the supermarket checkout. "Find her, Ethan. It's important," he insisted, a strange urgency in his voice that surprised even himself, a desire for more than just repayment. Meanwhile, Isabella returned to her modest home after her shift, sharing the unusual supermarket encounter with her Aunt Maria. She downplayed her own generous act. "He seemed so lost, Tia, with his little girl looking so worried," Isabella explained softly, a hint of sadness still lingering in her eyes, remembering his profound despair. Maria, a woman of deep faith and quiet wisdom, smiled warmly, sensing a deeper purpose in Isabella's act of compassion. "Sometimes God places us in certain moments to be his hands, my dear," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "You were an instrument of his kindness. Isabella, later that night, reflected on the millionaire's obvious pain and humiliation, a flicker of genuine empathy touching her heart despite their vast social divide. Poor man, she whispered to herself, surprised by her own unexpected connection to his momentary vulnerability. His expensive suit couldn't hide his raw, human suffering. Arthur's search for Isabella hit an unexpected snag. Ethan reported that without a name or more specific details, tracing her through the supermarket's limited records was proving almost impossible. It's like she disappeared into thin air, Arthur, Ethan admitted, clearly frustrated by the lack of leads, the mystery only deepening. This setback only intensified Arthur's resolve. He found himself replaying the checkout scene, focusing on her kind eyes and quiet strength, realizing his desire to find her now transcended mere repayment. It was a yearning for something deeper, something his own world lacked. A local news segment aired a brief interview with Arthur's uncle Silas, who with feigned concern subtly alluded to Arthur's personal challenges and management issues within the company. "It's a trying time for Arthur, a period of instability," Silas purred into the camera, his eyes gleaming with a malicious satisfaction that went unnoticed by the casual viewer. Watching the broadcast, Arthur's blood ran cold as Silas's veiled words confirmed his deepest suspicions. His own uncle was indeed the architect of his devastating downfall. He gripped the remote, his knuckles white. But what dark game was Silas truly playing? And how could finding a simple maid possibly unravel such a malicious and well-orchestrated conspiracy that threatened everything Arthur held dear? Arthur confronted Silas at his lavish country club, his voice low and dangerous, betraying none of the public humiliation he had recently endured. "Did you really think I wouldn't see through this, Uncle? My accounts were frozen. My company is under attack," he demanded, his gaze unwavering, cutting through Silas's practiced calm. Silas, with a condescending smile that never quite reached his eyes, denied everything with practiced ease, presenting a fabricated alibi and feigning hurt at Arthur's accusations. "Arthur, I'm just trying to protect our family's legacy from your recklessness. You've been adrift since your wife passed," Silas countered smoothly, his words designed to wound. But a subtle, cruel glint in Silas's eyes and a veiled threat about Lily's well-being sent a shiver down Arthur's spine, confirming his uncle's true malice. "Some things are more important than money, Arthur. Things that can't be bought back," Silas added, his tone chillingly casual. What dark depths of depravity did Silas truly possess to use a child as leverage? Ethan's investigation, thankfully, unearthed a crucial detail. The supermarket where Arthur's card was declined had a temporary maid service contract. One employee, a young woman, was specifically noted for her exceptional character and kindness. "It's a long shot, Arthur, given the sparse information, but it's all we have for now," Ethan reported, offering a slim thread of hope. Armed with this potential lead for the cleaning service, Arthur, shedding his usual corporate attire for something more discreet and less conspicuous, drove to a bustling, modest neighborhood. It was a world away from his sterile penthouse, a place vibrant with life, a stark contrast to his own isolated existence. He observed families laughing, children playing on the streets, and a tangible sense of community he had never known. A profound sense of introspection washed over him as he realized the true meaning of rich might be found not in material wealth, but in the simple, interconnected lives he witnessed here. Lily, sensing his inner turmoil and the quiet thoughtfulness that had replaced his usual intensity, drew him a picture of a smiling family. "Daddy, are we happy?" she asked, her simple question cutting through his guarded facade, intensifying his desperate search for the kind maid. Overwhelmed by the day's events and Lily's innocent query, Arthur found himself kneeling beside Lily's bed that night, murmuring a prayer. It was a genuine, heartfelt plea to God for guidance, a practice he hadn't engaged in since his wife's passing, a forgotten comfort he now desperately sought. Meanwhile, Brenda, disguised as an ordinary shopper, was observing Arthur's movements, capturing photos of him near the maid service's office. She relayed the unexpected connection to Silas. "He's spending time with a cleaner, Silas. This could be very useful," she chuckled, a sly smile on her face. Silas merely returned her chuckle, Let him look. It will only make his fall more spectacular. Arthur, feeling a renewed sense of purpose guided by a budding faith, drove to the address of the cleaning service, only to learn Isabella had just left for a job. He then noticed a small, old church nearby, its humble doors open wide. As he hesitated, he heard a familiar voice singing inside, a voice filled with pure, unwavering faith, and realized it was Isabella. Could this unexpected encounter truly be a sign from God, or was it a path leading him deeper into Silas's treacherous, dark web? Arthur, drawn by the beautiful sound of Isabella's voice, hesitantly entered the small, humble church, quietly sitting at the very back. He observed her as she sang with genuine devotion, her voice a pure, unwavering melody that filled the simple sanctuary. The sincerity in her face, completely immersed in worship, stood in stark contrast to the superficiality he was accustomed to in his own world. After the service concluded, Isabella saw Arthur in the back pew and approached him with a kind, gentle smile, recognizing him immediately. There was no judgment in her gaze, only warmth. "It's good to see you again," she said softly, her presence radiating a calm that instantly put Arthur at a surprising ease, despite his lingering embarrassment. Arthur, feeling a humbling mix of embarrassment and profound relief at finally finding her, introduced himself properly, his voice more earnest than he intended. He expressed his deep, heartfelt gratitude. "I've been looking for you, Isabella. I truly need to repay you for your kindness at the store," he insisted, a genuine urgency in his tone. Isabella, however, gently but firmly declined any repayment, a serene expression on her face. She explained that her act was simply what God called her to do, a natural extension of her faith. "It was the right thing to do, Arthur. God provides for all of us," she explained softly, her deep conviction evident in every word. Arthur, unaccustomed to such selfless humility and unconditional generosity, felt deeply challenged by her perspective. His world revolved around transactions and debts, not genuine compassion. "I don't understand how you can simply give without expecting anything in return," he admitted, feeling a surprising pang of inadequacy for his own materialistic view. As they spoke, Isabella introduced Arthur to her Aunt Maria, a woman with warm, wise eyes, who greeted him kindly. "Welcome, son," Maria said with a gentle smile, subtly observing the millionaire's discomfort in their humble but loving surroundings, noticing the quiet humility beginning to replace his guarded pride. Isabella then shared a brief testimony about how her unwavering faith had helped her overcome past struggles and profound emptiness. "When you have nothing left, Arthur, truly nothing, you learn to trust in God's grace completely," she shared, her eyes reflecting a quiet, profound strength that captivated him. Her words resonated deeply with Arthur's own lingering grief. Arthur, though still a man of logic and, at his core, a skeptic regarding spiritual matters, felt a small seed of hope planted in his heart. He realized there was indeed more to life than his wealth and power. He found himself inexplicably drawn to the profound peace he saw so clearly reflected in Isabella's humble eyes. Unbeknownst to them, Brenda, disguised discreetly as a local charity worker, was observing Arthur and Isabella from across the street. She captured a series of photos with her phone and immediately relayed the unexpected connection to Silas. "He's spending time with a cleaner, Silas. This could be very useful," she chuckled, a predatory glint in her eyes, sensing an opportunity for malice. As Arthur left the church, Isabella's simple yet profound words echoed in his mind. Sometimes God places us in certain moments to be his hands. He realized he had not only found the woman he sought for repayment, but also a glimpse into a life and a faith he never knew existed, a path toward true meaning. But what price would he inevitably pay for stepping into a world so drastically different from his own? And how would a vengeful Silas use this new, unexpected connection against him and Isabella? Arthur, deeply moved by Isabella's unwavering faith and selfless spirit, spent the next few days in quiet contemplation. He realized his immense wealth had left him spiritually bankrupt, his life devoid of the profound peace he witnessed in her. The contrast was stark, almost painful. He found himself yearning to understand Isabella's world, a world where joy seemed to flourish despite material scarcity, sustained by faith and community. He decided to visit her again, this time taking Lily with him, hoping his daughter might also find comfort there. As they approached Isabella's modest home, Lily, in her innocent curiosity, looked around the humble neighborhood, so different from their own gilded cage. "This is where the angel lives, Daddy?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder at the simple, colorful houses. Isabella, surprised by their unannounced visit, welcomed them warmly, her smile genuine and inviting. Lily, immediately enchanted by Isabella's kind demeanor, found a simple, handmade doll on a shelf and began playing joyfully, her previous shyness instantly melting away. Arthur, shedding his usual guardedness and corporate facade, spoke candidly with Isabella, sharing glimpses of his deep loneliness and the hollowness of his success since his wife's tragic death. "I feel so lost sometimes, Isabella. All the money means nothing," he confessed, revealing a vulnerability he rarely showed. Isabella, listening with genuine empathy, shared a comforting thought, her voice gentle. "True wealth, Arthur, is not measured in possessions, but in the peace found through God's unconditional love and genuine connection." Her words offered Arthur a profound new perspective, stirring something deep within his soul. Suddenly, a sleek black car, jarringly out of place in the quiet neighborhood, pulled up near Isabella's house. Brenda, Silas's sharp-eyed assistant, emerged, her smile artificial and chilling. "Arthur, what an unexpected pleasure to find you here," she purred, her eyes scanning Isabella's modest surroundings with thinly veiled disdain, clearly a message from Silas. Arthur, recognizing the immediate threat and the message conveyed by Brenda's presence, quickly explained his presence to her. He emphasized Isabella's kindness at the supermarket to deflect suspicion. "Isabella helped me and my daughter in a truly tough spot. I came to thank her properly," he stated firmly, subtly positioning himself protectively near Isabella. Brenda, however, ignored his words, her phone subtly capturing images of Arthur and Isabella together, her cold smile confirming Silas's knowledge of Arthur's every move. "Silas will be most interested in these new developments," she thought, a sinister plan already forming in her mind, eager to report back to her master. As Brenda departed, Arthur felt a chilling fear grip him. His quest for Isabella's repayment had unexpectedly pulled her into his dangerous world, making her a potential target. "Isabella, my uncle, he's a very ruthless and manipulative man," Arthur warned, his voice tight with genuine concern. But how could a simple maid be protected from the machinations of a powerful, vengeful millionaire? And would Arthur's growing feelings for her become a dangerous liability in this escalating war? Arthur, deeply concerned for Isabella's safety after Brenda's ominous visit, immediately offered her financial assistance to protect her from any fallout from his uncle's actions. "Please, Isabella, let me help you. My uncle is dangerous," he urged, a genuine worry etched on his face, a complete shift from his former arrogance. Isabella, however, gently but firmly refused, asserting her unwavering trust in God's protection, a serene calm radiating from her. "My strength comes from Jesus, Arthur. He will provide for me and my family," she replied, her conviction unwavering, reminding him of a different kind of power. Lily, noticing Isabella's calm demeanor amidst the growing tension, clung to her hand, feeling an immediate sense of comfort and security that even Arthur's wealth couldn't provide. "She's like a warm hug, Daddy," Lily whispered, drawing a soft, tender smile from Isabella. Meanwhile, Silas, fueled by Brenda's photos and his own malice, unleashed a vicious smear campaign. He used Brenda to leak the images of Arthur and Isabella to sensational tabloids, portraying Arthur as reckless and morally compromised. "The millionaire's new low, dalliance with his maid," read one cruel headline, designed to damage Arthur's reputation. Arthur was horrified to see his private life, and worse, Isabella's image, exploited so cruelly. He understood Silas's true aim: to isolate him, destroy his credibility, and make his ongoing legal battle to regain control of his company even harder. "He's trying to ruin everything, Isabella," Arthur muttered, his anger flaring. Ethan, seeing the escalating media frenzy, warned Arthur that the public backlash could severely impact his ongoing legal fight to regain control of his assets. "This makes you look unstable, Arthur, especially to the board members." "It's a very clever distraction," Ethan cautioned, his tone grave, emphasizing the public's fickle nature. Overwhelmed by the escalating attacks and the weight of the injustice, Arthur sought out Isabella again, not for repayment, but for genuine guidance and solace. "How do you face such negativity and cruelty with so much peace?" he asked, genuinely seeking her spiritual wisdom, a humility he never imagined possessing. Isabella, sensing his genuine distress and turmoil, shared a powerful lesson from her faith. "Forgiveness sets you free, Arthur, freeing your heart from hatred, and prayer gives you strength to stand firm in truth, even against the most wicked lies." She spoke of trusting God's timing for justice. Arthur wrestled internally with Isabella's gentle counsel, which clashed sharply with his ingrained instinct for aggressive corporate retaliation. He found himself contemplating a painful choice: withdrawing from Isabella's life, believing his presence only brought her danger and hardship. "Is it truly fair to put her in harm's way because of my fight?" he wondered, his heart heavy. What painful sacrifice would Arthur consider for Isabella's safety, and would she understand his desperate attempt to protect her? As Arthur struggled with his decision, Brenda, disguised as a charity worker, subtly approached Isabella in her neighborhood, planting insidious seeds of doubt and fear. "Are you truly sure his interest in you is pure cleaner, or is he just using you to clean up his tarnished image?" she insinuated with a chilling smile, her words a direct veiled warning. Was Isabella now directly targeted, and would Arthur's internal conflict and his efforts be enough to protect them from Silas's escalating and cruel vengeance? Isabella, disturbed by Brenda's insidious questions, shared her deep unease with Aunt Maria, her voice filled with a rare tremor. Maria, always a beacon of spiritual strength, gently squeezed her hand, reassuring her that God's unwavering truth would always prevail against deception. "Do not let evil words shake your spirit, Mija," Maria advised softly, her eyes filled with wisdom, sensing the enemy's attempts to sow discord. Despite Maria's comforting wisdom, a subtle seed of doubt began to sprout in Isabella's heart regarding Arthur's true intentions. Brenda's words had planted a bitter question, making Isabella question his sincerity, wondering if he was genuine or simply using her kindness. "Is he really different, or just another man of his world?" she pondered quietly, a quiet ache settling in her chest. Arthur, wrestling fiercely with his ingrained pride and a growing, desperate fear for Isabella's safety, made a difficult decision. He chose to distance himself. He believed it was the only way to protect her from Silas's escalating, ruthless tactics. "I can't put her in danger, not again," he concluded painfully, a heavy burden of sacrifice settling on his shoulders. His sudden withdrawal left Isabella deeply hurt and profoundly confused, inadvertently confirming her nascent doubts about his true motives. The abrupt silence from Arthur reinforced the vast social chasm between them, making her feel used and then discarded. "I truly thought he was different, a man of true heart," she sighed sadly to herself, feeling a sting of betrayal. Lily, with her childlike innocence, noticed her father's renewed sadness and Isabella's unexplained absence. She silently drew another picture, this time of a lonely man standing beneath a grey cloud, clearly reflecting her father's emotional state. "Are you sad again, Daddy? Where is the kind lady?" she asked, her innocent question cutting deep into Arthur's soul. Arthur, seeing Lily's poignant, innocent observation, felt a sharp pang of guilt, a powerful realization striking him. His desperate attempt to protect Isabella was inadvertently hurting his beloved daughter, who had found a genuine, pure connection with the kind Maid. "I'm sorry, sweetie," he murmured, his voice heavy with regret. Meanwhile, Ethan, tireless in his investigation, uncovered a crucial piece of evidence. It was an obscure financial transaction directly linking Silas's shell company to a shadowy cybersecurity firm that specialized in discreet account freezing. "This is it, Arthur," Ethan declared, his voice triumphant. Concrete proof of his direct involvement and malicious intent. This was the breakthrough they desperately needed. Armed with this concrete, undeniable proof of Silas's treachery, Arthur made a firm decision. He would confront his uncle again, not with raw anger and emotion, but with the cold, hard facts of the legal system. "His petty games are officially over," Arthur stated with renewed, steely resolve to Ethan, ready to expose the truth in a court of law. During the intense legal preparations, Ethan subtly questioned Arthur's abrupt distance from Isabella, hinting that her genuine character and unwavering faith could actually be an invaluable asset, not a liability. "People respect true character, Arthur, regardless of their background or wealth," Ethan suggested thoughtfully, planting a vital seed of doubt in Arthur's previous decision to retreat. Arthur, reflecting deeply on Ethan's insightful words and Lily's quiet sadness, realized that isolating Isabella was a profound mistake, one that hurt them all. He felt a deep, aching void, not just for his potentially lost fortune, but for the profound connection and burgeoning love he had begun to form with Isabella. But would Isabella, now wounded by his sudden retreat, be willing to trust him again? And how would this new vulnerability impact his critical battle against Silas's ruthless schemes? Arthur, determined to mend his mistake and driven by a newfound humility, drove directly to Isabella's neighborhood. He spotted her at the vibrant community garden, her hands gently tending to rows of budding plants, a picture of peaceful strength amidst the green. He felt a profound sense of calm just seeing her, a stark contrast to his tumultuous world. He approached her hesitantly, his usual corporate confidence replaced by genuine regret and a quiet deference. "Isabella, I was wrong to pull away from you," he admitted, his voice earnest and vulnerable. "I truly was afraid for you, for the danger my world might bring to yours, and I handled it badly." Isabella, initially reserved and still visibly hurt by his sudden retreat, listened to his heartfelt apology. Her gaze searched his eyes for sincerity, seeking to understand the man behind the millionaire. "Fear makes us do strange things, Arthur," she observed quietly, her voice gentle, but with an underlying hint of past pain. Arthur confessed his deep concern about his uncle's ruthlessness and how his dangerous world could easily affect her and her family. "Silas is capable of anything, Isabella, and I couldn't bear for you to be hurt because of me," he explained, revealing a raw vulnerability she hadn't seen before, exposing the heavy burden he carried. Suddenly, Lily, bursting with innocent joy, ran up to Isabella and hugged her legs tightly, her small arms encircling the maid's uniform. "We missed you so much," she chirped, her pure affection unknowingly helping to bridge the gap between the adults. This spontaneous act instantly melted Isabella's remaining emotional walls. Reassured by Arthur's heartfelt honesty and Lily's pure affection, Isabella offered him a gentle, forgiving smile, her warmth radiating. "God protects us, Arthur. We just need to trust him completely and walk in truth, even when the path is unclear." Her unwavering faith was a deep comfort to him. Meanwhile, Ethan, tireless in his investigation, discovered that Silas had systematically bought up minor shares in Arthur's company through various shell entities, gaining a significant, albeit hidden, stake over time. "He was planning this hostile takeover for years, Arthur," Ethan revealed, exposing a new depth of Silas's cunning and long-term malice. Arthur, now focused and clear-headed, began to work closely with Ethan, meticulously strategizing how to reclaim control of his company and expose Silas's intricate manipulation. The scale of the deception was truly staggering, making him realize, this is much more than just revenge. It's a full corporate takeover. Isabella, seeing the immense burden Arthur carried, dedicated herself to praying for him, her simple act of faith providing a quiet strength that Arthur found profoundly moving. "You are truly not alone in this fight, Arthur. God is with you, always," she assured him, a calming presence in his storm. As Arthur and Isabella felt their connection deepening, Brenda, acting on Silas's cruel orders, initiated a new, more personal attack, anonymously submitting a false report to Child Protective Services, questioning Arthur's fitness as a father. This was meticulously designed to target Arthur's most vulnerable point, his beloved daughter, Lily. Would this cruel tactic finally break Arthur's spirit? And could Isabella's newfound trust withstand such a malicious assault on their budding relationship? Child Protective Services arrived unannounced at Arthur's opulent penthouse, their presence shaking his and Lily's world to its core with intrusive, probing questions about his parenting. "Daddy, what's happening? Why are these people here?" Lily cried, her small face pale and frightened, clinging tightly to Arthur's leg, bewildered by the stern visitors. Arthur, overwhelmed by a surge of furious anger and raw fear, immediately recognized Silas's cruel and manipulative hand in this malicious attack aimed directly at his innocent daughter. "This is beyond unforgivable, Silas," he roared into the empty air, his voice trembling with a potent mixture of rage and desperation, knowing his uncle had crossed a line. Isabella, learning of the devastating CPS visit through a worried call from Aunt Maria, rushed immediately to their side, offering calm comfort and spiritual reassurance to both Arthur and a terrified Lily. "Trust in God's divine justice, Arthur. He will not abandon you or your precious daughter in this trial," she advised softly, her unwavering faith a quiet anchor in their storm, making Arthur pause in his despair. Ethan swiftly launched an investigation into the anonymous report, quickly confirming it as a malicious and utterly fabricated accusation, clearly orchestrated to destabilize Arthur further amidst his ongoing brutal financial battles. "This is a direct, calculated hit on your personal life, Arthur, aimed to break you," Ethan warned, his tone grave, realizing the depths of Silas's depravity. Arthur, finding his usual strength and resilience faltering under the immense personal pressure, leaned heavily on Isabella's calming presence and her gentle spiritual counsel. He desperately sought solace and guidance in her unwavering faith during this deeply painful personal crisis, a comfort he found nowhere else. He soon began actively participating in Isabella's humble church services with Lily, finding a profound sense of peace, belonging, and community he had never experienced within his own privileged, isolated world. "I truly feel closer to God here, Isabella, more than I ever have before," he confessed, a new light dawning within him. Meanwhile, Silas, emboldened by the perceived success of his cruel CPS maneuver, publicly announced a hostile takeover bid for Arthur's company. He expertly used the negative tabloid press against Arthur's unstable leadership. "Arthur has proven himself unfit to lead our family's legacy," Silas declared in a televised press conference, his smile cold and calculating. What other underhanded tactics did Silas have planned to ensure Arthur's complete downfall? Brenda, ever the observant and ruthless strategist, noticed Arthur's increasing reliance on Isabella. She suggested to Silas that Isabella was Arthur's blind spot, a vulnerability that could be exploited directly for maximum, painful impact. "His heart is now leading him, Silas, not his sharp business head," Brenda sneered, already envisioning a new, more personal attack. Arthur faced a harrowing legal hearing regarding Lily's custody, a direct result of Silas's malicious report. Silas's lawyers relentlessly attempted to paint Arthur as an irresponsible, unstable father, shamelessly using the tabloid photos of him with Isabella as evidence of his reckless behavior and poor judgment. Just as Arthur felt despair creeping in, threatening to consume him, Isabella unexpectedly appeared, her presence a quiet strength in the sterile, intimidating courtroom. With quiet dignity, she testified passionately on Arthur's behalf, speaking of his deep, transformative love for Lily and his genuine, newfound spiritual growth, astonishing the judge and Silas alike. Her powerful, heartfelt words unexpectedly swayed the judge, but Silas, enraged by her intervention, whispered venomously to Brenda, "This maid thinks she can stop me. We'll see how strong her faith is when everything she loves is threatened." Was Isabella now the primary, most vulnerable target, and how would Silas's direct, terrifying threat unfold against her? Arthur, deeply moved by Isabella's courageous testimony in court, felt an overwhelming surge of protective love for her, realizing the immense depth of her sacrifice. Her calm, truthful words had saved him, and for that, he would forever be grateful. He watched her, a profound shift occurring within his heart, understanding a new kind of bravery. He approached Isabella, his voice thick with raw emotion, acknowledging the immense personal risk she had taken to defend him and Lily against Silas's lies. "You are truly brave, Isabella. Braver than anyone I know," he whispered, his eyes conveying a gratitude that words could barely express, a new respect blossoming between them. Isabella, though outwardly calm and composed in the courtroom, felt a chilling premonition from Silas's enraged, hateful glare as he was escorted away. His hatred felt personal, Arthur, she confessed to him later, a quiet, unsettling fear now lingering in her beautiful eyes, sensing a new, more dangerous threat on the horizon. What new evil was now aimed directly at her? A consequence of her kindness. True to his word, Silas, consumed by a vindictive rage, immediately instructed Brenda to find a way to make Isabella suffer dearly. He commanded her to specifically target Isabella's livelihood and her beloved community. "Make her regret her meddling, Brenda. Make her pay for her arrogance," he snarled, his voice a venomous hiss, planning his next attack. Brenda, with her characteristic cold efficiency, began to discreetly gather highly sensitive information on Isabella's daily routine, her beloved family, and any existing financial vulnerabilities. She meticulously sought leverage, knowing that to truly harm Isabella, she needed to strike at the core of her modest, faith-filled life. Arthur, anticipating Silas's predictable and vindictive nature, secretly arranged for a private security detail to discreetly watch over Isabella's humble home and her daily cleaning routes. He was fiercely determined to keep her safe from any new, dark threats. "I will not let him hurt her, not after everything," Arthur vowed fiercely to Ethan, his resolve ironclad. Simultaneously, Ethan, tirelessly working behind the scenes, uncovered new, damning evidence. He found proof of Silas attempting to influence key board members through insidious blackmail and veiled threats, further solidifying his malicious intent to seize Arthur's company. "He's leaving no stone unturned, Arthur. His ambition is boundless," Ethan reported gravely, his face grim. Isabella's beloved Aunt Maria, a pillar of their community, began hearing unsettling rumors in the neighborhood about a sudden, inexplicable reduction in Isabella's cleaning jobs. She grew increasingly worried, sensing a malicious, unseen force at play. "It's not right, Mija. Someone is trying to harm you," Maria said, her brow deeply furrowed with concern. Isabella then received an anonymous, terrifying, threatening note, explicitly mentioning her family's safety and cruelly mocking her unwavering faith. "Your God won't save you from me, Maid," it sneered, confirming Silas's direct and cruel hand, a personal assault on her spirit. This vile message profoundly tested her unwavering trust in divine protection, shaking her to her core. Shaken but refusing to break under the terrifying pressure, Isabella clutched her worn Bible, finding desperate solace in fervent prayer. She realized her profound faith was now her greatest weapon and her only shield against such evil. However, a profound, chilling fear still gripped her heart. How could she possibly protect her beloved family from such a relentless, powerful enemy? And would Arthur's valiant efforts be truly enough to save them all from Silas's escalating, merciless vengeance? Isabella, visibly shaken to her core, showed Arthur the anonymous threatening note, her hands trembling uncontrollably despite her efforts to remain strong. "He knows about my family, Arthur," she whispered, true, profound fear now clouding her eyes, a stark contrast to her usual serene composure. "He threatened them, mentioning my precious Aunt Maria." Arthur felt a cold dread instantly grip his heart, a deep guilt churning within him. "This is because of me, Isabella. I dragged you into my dangerous world," he said, his voice tight with a potent mixture of anger and self-reproach. "He's crossing every conceivable line, targeting the innocent." Ethan's diligent security team reported a suspicious individual, later identified as Brenda, consistently seen loitering near Isabella's humble home and her various cleaning workplaces. "It wasn't just a random act, Arthur. She's directly linked to Silas's malicious activities," Ethan confirmed gravely, his voice grim with the weight of the revelation. Silas, basking in his perceived control and malevolent power, called Arthur, his voice laced with mocking amusement and triumphant malice. "Still playing hero to the maid, Arthur. Your little saint is about to learn a harsh lesson about real consequences, a lesson she won't forget," he sneered, hinting at devastating threats to Isabella's cherished community. News spread through Isabella's close-knit neighborhood like wildfire. A mysterious, aggressive investor was suddenly buying up properties, causing widespread panic about potential evictions and imminent job losses. Aunt Maria looked deeply worried, her face etched with concern. "It feels like a darkness is falling over us, Mija. Our entire community is threatened," Maria sighed, her voice heavy with despair. Arthur, seeing the direct and devastating threat to Isabella's entire world, her home, her family, her community, realized he needed to act drastically and immediately. He earnestly asked Isabella to trust him implicitly, offering to move her and her family to a safer place, even his own secure penthouse. "Please, Isabella, let me protect you and your loved ones from this evil," he pleaded, his voice sincere. Isabella struggled deeply with Arthur's generous offer, her profound roots in her cherished community clashing painfully with the pragmatic, terrifying fear for her family's safety. "What about my neighbors, Arthur? My entire life, my heart, is rooted here in this community," she replied, her voice tinged with unbearable anguish, torn between loyalty and fear. Brenda, executing Silas's ruthless and calculated orders with cold efficiency, initiated the legal process to aggressively acquire several key properties in Isabella's neighborhood, including her and Maria's beloved homes. This was cleverly disguised under the guise of an aggressive, large-scale urban redevelopment project designed to displace everyone. Arthur and Ethan immediately delved into counter-strategies, scrambling desperately to find any legal loopholes or a way to halt Silas's predatory and merciless real estate moves. "We need to act fast, Ethan, with every legal tool we have, to stop him from buying up everything and destroying their lives," Arthur instructed, his mind racing, determined to fight for them. Isabella, feeling utterly desperate and overwhelmed by the mounting injustice, knelt in fervent prayer, her unwavering faith momentarily wavering under the crushing weight of despair as she overheard neighbors discussing their forced sales and imminent displacement. But then, she saw Arthur and Lily arriving, their faces full of genuine concern and resolute determination. Could she truly accept Arthur's powerful help without feeling like a burdensome charity case? And could their combined, newfound strength truly stand as one against such a powerful, malicious force, threatening her entire world and all she held dear? Isabella, after much reflection and fervent prayer with her beloved Aunt Maria, made a crucial decision. She chose to accept Arthur's powerful help, not merely for her own safety, but for the collective sake of her entire, threatened community. "We must stand together, Arthur, united against this darkness," she declared, her eyes firm with newfound resolve, a quiet strength radiating from her. Arthur, visibly relieved and profoundly grateful for her trust, immediately brought Ethan into their urgent strategy. They meticulously planned legal countermeasures, aiming to directly challenge Silas's aggressive and predatory property acquisitions in the neighborhood. "We need to hit him where it truly hurts, Ethan, legally and decisively," Arthur instructed, his voice firm with a renewed sense of purpose. Arthur spent days immersed in Isabella's vibrant neighborhood, listening intently to the residents' fears and heartbreaking concerns. He experienced a profound shift in his perspective, realizing their deep connection to their homes. He felt a genuine connection he never knew existed, slowly building trust with the very people Silas sought to cruelly displace. Their homes are more than just houses. They are their lives, their history, he realized, deeply moved. Silas, however, through the relentless actions of Brenda, intensified his cruel pressure. He sent out official-looking eviction notices and offered insulting, meager buyouts, hoping to force the desperate community's hand into submission. "Sign these papers now, or lose everything you possess," Brenda threatened the terrified residents, her voice cold and unfeeling, adding to their despair. Isabella and Arthur, refusing to be intimidated, bravely organized an urgent town hall meeting. They passionately urged their neighbors to resist Silas's unlawful demands, imploring them to share any old documents or family histories that might prove their long-standing property rights. "Don't let them divide us, my friends. We are stronger together," Isabella pleaded passionately, her voice ringing with conviction. At the emotional meeting, Arthur, completely shedding his corporate persona, spoke from his heart with raw honesty. He fearlessly revealed Silas's malicious intent and promised his full legal backing for their desperate fight. "We will not let this injustice stand, not against this wonderful community," he vowed solemnly, his words echoing with sincerity and determination. Suddenly, an elderly neighbor, Eleanor, her eyes wide with a forgotten memory, remembered an old, dusty community charter. It was signed decades ago, legally protecting their homes as shared, inalienable land, a document meticulously overlooked in all recent legal records. "My grandfather always kept this precious paper safe, hidden away," she revealed, her trembling hands pulling out a dusty, yellowed parchment. What forgotten truth did this ancient, powerful document miraculously hold? Ethan immediately recognized the document's immense legal significance and its explosive potential. It presented a massive, completely unexpected obstacle to Silas's predatory plans, potentially invalidating all his illegal purchases and rendering them worthless. "This changes everything, Arthur. Absolutely everything," Ethan exclaimed, a triumphant glint now shining brightly in his sharp eyes, knowing they had a real weapon. Arthur and Isabella celebrated this incredible small victory, their hands briefly touching in a fleeting moment of shared hope and burgeoning affection. "God truly provides a miraculous way for those who trust in him," Isabella whispered, a joyful single tear silently tracing a path down her cheek, a powerful testament to her unwavering faith. Silas, upon hearing the devastating news of the ancient, rediscovered charter, exploded in a violent fit of uncontrollable rage. His meticulously crafted plan, years in the making, now crumbled spectacularly before his furious eyes. "This is her doing, that insolent maid," he growled venomously to Brenda, completely convinced Isabella was the sole root of all his new infuriating problems. "It's time for a more direct, a very personal approach." What sinister, desperate measure would Silas now take to utterly silence Isabella and completely destroy her unwavering spirit? Silas, consumed by the unexpected setback of the community charter, raged uncontrollably to Brenda about Isabella. "She's meddling where she doesn't belong. That insolent maid will pay for this audacity," he commanded, his voice shaking with pure, venomous fury, his eyes burning with a desperate need for revenge against her. Brenda, ever the cold opportunist and loyal to Silas's malice, presented a sinister plan, her smile thin and knowing. "We can't touch her physically without drawing too much attention, Silas, but we can destroy what she holds most dear, her good name and her very source of income, her livelihood." Isabella, completely unaware of the new insidious plot unfolding against her, continued diligently with her cleaning jobs, though a subtle, growing uneasiness gnawed at her. She noticed small, inconsequential items mysteriously disappearing from a wealthy client's immaculate home she regularly serviced. "That's truly odd," she murmured to herself, a flicker of concern touching her heart. Meanwhile, Arthur and Ethan formally presented the ancient community charter in court, effectively halting Silas's aggressive, illegal property acquisitions. This secured a significant legal victory for the entire neighborhood, bringing a wave of relief. "This truly puts a major wrench in his nefarious plans, Arthur," Ethan said with a satisfied nod, a rare moment of triumph. Just as Arthur felt a glimmer of hope for their future and a sense of progress, his phone rang with an unfamiliar number. It was the wealthy client from Isabella's cleaning route, her voice cold and harshly accusatory. "Your maid, Arthur, she stole from me. The police are now involved," the woman declared with cutting certainty, a shocking accusation. Arthur felt a sickening blow to his stomach, a profound sense of dread. He rushed to Isabella, who was now weeping uncontrollably, her face stained with tears, her spotless reputation shattered by the cruel accusation. "How could they possibly believe such a terrible lie about me, Arthur?" she cried, her unwavering faith severely tested by this profound injustice. Isabella, trying to compose herself, recounted the subtle disappearances from the client's home, now realizing with a terrifying clarity that they were part of a meticulously orchestrated setup. "I would never betray a trust, Arthur, never. God truly knows my innocent heart," she insisted, her voice trembling with raw pain and indignation. Arthur, witnessing her profound anguish and unwavering pure spirit, felt a powerful, protective anger ignite within him. Silas has sunk to an unforgivable new low, Isabella. This is a cruel, targeted attack, he vowed fiercely. We will clear your name, my dear Isabella, no matter what immense personal cost it takes. Brenda, reporting the successful framing to a delighted Silas, reveled in their adversary's distress and Isabella's public humiliation. Her clean slate is now utterly stained, Silas. Her naive faith won't protect her from our plans now, she mocked with a chilling, triumphant smirk, pleased with her cruel handiwork. As Arthur and Ethan frantically began to strategize Isabella's defense, a deeply troubling detail unexpectedly emerged from her routine background check. A minor, youthful indiscretion involving a misunderstanding about borrowing a valuable item without explicit permission years ago. This long-forgotten past now threatened to resurface, providing insidious ammunition for Silas's malicious public attacks. Could this old secret be cruelly twisted to condemn Isabella in the eyes of the law? And would Arthur's unwavering belief in her be truly enough to overcome the devastating weight of her past? Arthur and Ethan worked tirelessly, poring over every detail, gathering irrefutable evidence to prove Isabella's innocence. They meticulously focused on blatant inconsistencies in the wealthy client's flimsy story and the mysterious pattern of disappearances, knowing they had to clear her name. Arthur felt a surge of cold fury at Silas's maliciousness. Silas, however, with his characteristic ruthlessness, seized upon Isabella's unfortunate past indiscretion. He maliciously leaked it to the press, twisting it into a vile narrative that falsely painted her as a habitual, unrepentant thief. Once a thief, always a thief. Millionaire's Maid exposed, read the cruel, devastating headlines, ripping open old wounds. Isabella was utterly devastated, not just by the crushing public shame, but by the painful reopening of old wounds and the suffocating feeling that her past would forever unjustly define her. I made a single youthful mistake, Aunt Maria, but I have truly changed by God's grace, she cried, her voice broken by despair. Arthur, witnessing her profound, agonizing pain, realized the stark depth of his own privileged existence, where past mistakes rarely held such devastating public consequences. This isn't fair, Isabella, not by any measure of justice, he said, his heart aching with a deep empathy he hadn't known he possessed. He then made a difficult, audacious decision. He would openly defend Isabella, publicly acknowledging her past, but passionately emphasizing her true, transformed character and journey of redemption. Everyone deserves a second chance, a fresh start, and Isabella embodies true redemption, he stated boldly in a shocking press conference. This move utterly stunned the public and the media. Lily, with her pure, innocent heart, seeing Isabella's profound sadness, silently drew a beautiful picture of Isabella as a radiant angel, then offered it to her with a loving hug. "You're still good, Isabella," Lily insisted, her innocent faith a balm to Isabella's deeply wounded spirit, offering comfort through pure love. Isabella, profoundly touched by Arthur's unwavering support and Lily's pure, unconditional love, found a renewed, quiet strength within herself. She understood that true acceptance came not from the world, but from God and those who truly knew and saw her heart. "Thank you, Arthur, for truly believing in me when no one else would," she said, tears of gratitude welling in her eyes. Ethan, meanwhile, discovered a critical detail. A security camera in the client's home had been conveniently offline during the exact period of the alleged theft. He also found a small hidden network device nearby, a crucial piece of evidence Brenda had carelessly missed. "This looks like a deliberate blind spot, Arthur. Too perfect to be an accident," Ethan observed, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. What critical clue did this suspicious blind spot conceal, and who placed it there? Brenda, growing increasingly arrogant and confident in Silas's power, began making casual, boastful remarks to her colleagues about fixing problems and teaching lessons for Silas, completely unaware that some of her reckless words were carefully overheard by a discreet informant working for Ethan. Her overconfidence was becoming her downfall. As Arthur and Isabella prepared for the inevitable, brutal public confrontation in court, Ethan presented his irrefutable findings. The security camera was intentionally disabled, and a clear digital footprint traced back directly to Brenda's personal network. "We have them, Arthur. We can definitively prove she framed Isabella," Ethan revealed. But the fight to completely clear Isabella's name and truly expose Silas would require a public confrontation, a high-stakes gamble where one wrong move could destroy them all, leaving them utterly ruined. Arthur and Ethan presented the undeniable evidence of Brenda's digital footprint and the tampered security camera directly to the wealthy client, hoping for a swift resolution. But she remained cold and dismissive, her face carefully blank. "This is simply an attempt to deflect blame, Arthur," she stated, her eyes pointedly avoiding his direct, earnest gaze. Arthur, seeing her rigid stance and evasive eyes, realized with a heavy heart that the client was either deeply influenced or outright threatened by Silas, making a private resolution utterly impossible. "She's too scared to speak the truth, Ethan," he muttered, a new, daring strategy beginning to form in his mind, realizing the need for public action. Isabella, still reeling from the cruel accusations but finding strength in her unwavering faith, offered Arthur a serene smile. "God will reveal the truth in his perfect timing, Arthur. I have to trust that completely," she told him, her voice softer but resolute, her spirit unyielding despite the immense pressure. Arthur, now determined to clear Isabella's name publicly and expose Silas's dark machinations, decided to hold a high-stakes press conference. This bold move would lay bare Silas's ruthless tactics to the entire world, a risky but necessary gamble. "We must fight fire with fire, Ethan, in the court of public opinion," he declared. Silas, alerted to the impending press conference by a frantic Brenda, scoffed, confident he could twist any narrative to his advantage with his media connections. Let him make a fool of himself. "It will only accelerate his spectacular downfall," Silas boasted to Brenda, utterly oblivious to the true extent of the evidence against him. Brenda, however, grew increasingly nervous, her calm facade cracking. She realized with chilling clarity that her own treacherous actions were about to be laid bare for all to see. She frantically tried to erase her digital tracks, but Ethan, anticipating her desperate move, had already secured multiple backups of the damning evidence. Too late, Brenda, Ethan thought with grim satisfaction. What other secrets did Brenda hold that could utterly destroy Silas's entire empire? Before the press conference began, Arthur found Isabella praying backstage, her beautiful face etched with a mixture of raw fear and unwavering faith, her eyes closed in silent communion. He knelt beside her, his hand gently covering hers, offering silent support. "We're in this together, Isabella. God is with us, always," he whispered, a tender moment solidifying their unspoken bond. At the crowded, expectant press conference, Arthur stepped forward, speaking with newfound humility and powerful conviction. He meticulously detailed the financial sabotage, the malicious CPS report, and now, the insidious, cruel frame-up of Isabella. "This is not just about me and my company," he announced, his voice resonating with sincerity. "It's about justice for an innocent woman caught in a web of deceit." Ethan then presented the technical evidence, the undeniable, irrefutable proof of the tampered security camera and Brenda's unmistakable digital signature, leaving the assembled journalists stunned into shocked silence. "The evidence against Miss Brenda and Mr. Silas Maxwell is completely irrefutable," Ethan stated clearly, his voice echoing with authority. Just as the room erupted in a cacophony of murmurs and flashing cameras, the wealthy client, pale and visibly trembling with fear, unexpectedly stepped forward from the back of the room, interrupting the proceedings. I need to confess," she stammered, her voice barely audible, her eyes wide with terror and guilt. "Silas Maxwell forced me to lie under severe threat." A collective gasp swept through the stunned room. But what other shocking betrayal was about to be exposed? And how would Silas react to this public, unexpected defiance that tore through his carefully constructed lies? The wealthy client, her voice trembling uncontrollably, revealed the full agonizing extent of Silas's merciless coercion, detailing precise threats to her family and her cherished business, if she didn't frame Isabella. He said he'd utterly ruin me, Arthur, leaving me with nothing, she confessed, tears streaming down her pale face, her fear palpable. Arthur felt a mix of profound vindication and a deep, aching sadness for the innocent woman caught in Silas's malicious web, an unsuspecting victim. Isabella, though deeply hurt by the accusation, offered the client a look of quiet understanding and compassionate forgiveness, embodying the very essence of Christian mercy in her serene gaze. News of the client's public confession spread like wildfire through every major media outlet, shattering Silas's carefully constructed reputation and turning public opinion overwhelmingly against him in an instant. Silas Maxwell's web of lies unravels completely, declared a major news channel, broadcasting his downfall to the entire world. Silas, watching the live broadcast of his public disgrace, exploded in a violent, uncontrollable rage, throwing precious objects across his opulent office, his meticulously constructed empire crumbling spectacularly before his furious eyes. "Brenda, how could you let this happen to me?" he screamed into his phone, his voice a guttural roar of pure fury and disbelief. Brenda, now cornered, terrified, and facing imminent ruin, realized with chilling clarity that Silas would ruthlessly sacrifice her without a second thought to save himself. She frantically searched her hidden files, knowing she desperately needed to protect herself from his inevitable wrath. "He'll throw me under the bus, leaving me for dead," she muttered, her mind racing with a desperate plan. What could Brenda possibly reveal to save her own skin from Silas's wrath? Ethan, anticipating this precise moment of desperation, discreetly contacted Brenda, offering her a lifeline, full immunity from prosecution in exchange for absolutely all evidence she possessed against Silas. "This is your last chance, Brenda, your only way out," Ethan stated, his voice firm and unwavering, offering a glimmer of hope in her dark world. Isabella, her name finally and unequivocally cleared by the client's confession, embraced Arthur, a shared sigh of profound relief and an even deeper, more powerful connection forming between them in the aftermath of their shared, harrowing ordeal. "God's truth always prevails against the darkness, Arthur," she whispered, her eyes shining brightly with tears of pure joy and gratitude. Lily, radiant with innocent joy, seeing her father and Isabella so happy and relieved, clapped her small hands, sensing the monumental shift in their world, a new beginning. "Everything is good now, Daddy. No more bad guys," she exclaimed, her innocent happiness a healing balm for their weary souls. Brenda, driven by desperation and a newfound will to survive, ultimately decided to betray Silas completely. She delivered a massive trove of damning documents and incriminating recordings to Ethan, meticulously detailing Silas's illicit activities, including irrefutable evidence of his initial plot to illegally freeze Arthur's accounts. "He tried to destroy us both, Ethan," she stated coldly, her voice devoid of emotion. This was the definitive proof Arthur needed to crush Silas. Arthur, now armed with irrefutable, comprehensive evidence that confirmed Silas's long-term, malicious plan, felt a mix of profound triumph and a heavy sadness for the utter brokenness of his own family. He knew the final, decisive confrontation was now imminent, an unavoidable clash. But Brenda's last, devastating revelation shook him to his core, a personal betrayal far deeper than he imagined. "Silas wasn't just after your money, Arthur. He also tampered with your late wife's will, ensuring you inherited nothing if you remarried." What devastating truth about his beloved wife's legacy would Arthur now confront? And how would this new, profound betrayal impact his growing, deep love for Isabella? Arthur, reeling from Brenda's devastating revelation about his late wife's tampered will, felt a crushing wave of profound grief and a new, bitter betrayal wash over him. He finally understood the true, depraved depth of Silas's malice. "He corrupted her memory, Isabella, not just her will," Arthur whispered, devastated, realizing his uncle desecrated a sacred bond. Isabella, seeing the raw, excruciating pain in his eyes, sat gently beside him, offering silent, comforting solace. "Earthly treasures can be twisted and corrupted, Arthur, but true love and integrity are eternal and cannot be stolen," she said, her calm, unwavering presence a healing balm to his shattered spirit. Lily, sensing the heavy, suffocating atmosphere of sadness, silently brought Arthur his favourite worn blanket, a simple, pure act of childhood comfort that instantly reminded him of the pure, unconditional love still vibrantly present in his life. Her innocent gesture cut through his despair, a beacon of hope. Ethan meticulously confirmed the shocking authenticity of Brenda's evidence, revealing the ingenious, malicious way Silas had altered the will to explicitly disinherit Arthur upon remarriage, thus ensuring Arthur's vast assets would fall directly into Silas's greedy hands. "This was Silas's dark endgame all along, Arthur," Ethan stated grimly, confirming the depth of the betrayal. Arthur now faced a heart-wrenching, agonizing dilemma. Pursuing his profound, growing love for Isabella would mean willingly losing the vast inheritance he firmly believed his wife intended for him and Lily. "Is my love for you truly worth losing everything, Isabella? All my material security?" he agonized, the weight of the decision almost unbearable. Unaware of Brenda's full, devastating betrayal, Silas, in a last-ditch, desperate effort, publicly accused Arthur of gross financial mismanagement and profound emotional instability. He cleverly framed himself as the selfless victim trying to save the company from Arthur's recklessness. "Arthur has completely lost his mind. He's unfit to lead," Silas declared to a hungry reporter, his voice dripping with false concern. Isabella, observing Arthur's agonizing struggle with his monumental decision, shared a powerful, heartfelt testimony about courageously choosing faith over crippling fear and love over fleeting worldly gain. She gently reminded him of God's greater, perfect plan. "Jesus taught us, Arthur, that true riches are not stored on this earth, but in our hearts," she counseled gently, her words profound. Arthur, after a long, agonizing night of deep prayer and intense reflection, finally made his monumental decision. He looked at Lily, then at Isabella, realizing with profound clarity that genuine love and a family built on unwavering faith were infinitely more valuable than any inheritance. "I choose you, Isabella and Lily," he declared, a profound, liberating peace settling over his weary soul. With this renewed purpose and unshakable resolve, Arthur and Ethan immediately began preparing for the final decisive legal battle against Silas. They were now fully equipped with the comprehensive, irrefutable evidence against him, ready to expose every single layer of his intricate, decades-long deception. "This fight is for true justice, Ethan, and for our sacred future," Arthur asserted, his voice firm with conviction. As the legal team finalized their intricate strategy, Silas received an anonymous, unsettling package containing Brenda's signed confession and a trove of damning evidence against him, his face instantly contorted with shock and pure, venomous fury. "Brenda, you treacherous snake!" he shrieked, realizing his closest, most trusted ally had brutally betrayed him. With nothing left to lose, Silas, now completely driven by blind vengeance, planned a desperate, profoundly dangerous act to target Isabella and Lily directly, eliminating what Arthur held most dear. What terrifying endgame did a cornered, unhinged Silas now have in store for them all, in his final, desperate bid for revenge? Silas, fueled by Brenda's devastating betrayal and his imminent, inescapable downfall, executed his most sinister and desperate plan, targeting Isabella and Lily during a vibrant, joyous community event. "They will pay for this public humiliation," he seethed, his eyes burning with a terrifying, unhinged madness, determined to inflict maximum pain on Arthur. Lily, momentarily separated from Arthur while innocently playing in the bustling crowd, was suddenly snatched by one of Silas's masked, shadowy henchmen. Her terrified scream, piercing and heartbreaking, echoed through the festive air, instantly silencing the joyful music. "Lily!" Arthur roared, his heart plummeting with raw, primal fear, the world around him blurring into a terrifying nightmare. Arthur and Isabella, witnessing the horrific abduction unfold before their very eyes, were instantly plunged into a frantic, desperate panic, their worst fears now horrifyingly realized. "Lily is gone. We have to find her right now, Arthur," Isabella cried, grabbing Arthur's hand tightly, her own trembling uncontrollably with shock and terror, her faith momentarily overshadowed by pure dread. Ethan, alerted by Arthur's desperate, choked call, quickly mobilized a covert team, using advanced tracking technology to pinpoint Silas's most likely escape routes from the community. "He's heading directly to his old abandoned warehouse, Arthur, a known hideout he used for illicit activities," Ethan reported urgently, his voice strained with concern, recognizing the extreme danger. What desperate, terrifying measure would a cornered Silas resort to now in his blind, all-consuming rage against Arthur? Arthur, now completely unburdened by any thought of his lost inheritance, his heart stripped bare of all material desires, declared with unwavering conviction, "Forget the money, Ethan. Absolutely forget it. Bring Lily back to me safe. That is all that truly matters in this life." This moment showed his complete, profound transformation, valuing love and family above all earthly wealth. Isabella, despite her profound terror and agonizing fear for Lily, clung fiercely to her unwavering faith, her eyes closed in fervent prayer for Lily's safety and divine guidance for Arthur. "Lord Jesus, please protect our little lamb. Keep her safe in your loving embrace," she whispered, hot tears streaming down her face, her eyes fixed on heaven, seeking divine intervention. They swiftly tracked Silas to a remote, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a desolate and chilling place. Inside, Silas held a terrified Lily close, a deranged, triumphant smile contorting his face as Brenda, now appearing truly distraught and remorseful, tried desperately to reason with his madness. "Silas, don't do this. You've gone much too far this time," she pleaded, her voice cracking with fear. Silas, ignoring Brenda, revealed his twisted, long-held motive, his voice filled with bitter resentment. "Your father always favored you, Arthur, always. Now you'll truly know what it's like to lose everything you love, just like I lost my true inheritance to him." He aimed a menacing glare at Lily, his words dripping with venom and a psychotic glee. In a tense, agonizing standoff, Arthur, fueled by a father's primal instinct and Isabella's unwavering, powerful faith, confronted Silas directly, offering himself in Lily's place. "Let her go, Silas. Take me instead. I am the one you want," he pleaded, willing to sacrifice his very life to save his precious daughter, his love boundless. As Silas hesitated, momentarily stunned by Arthur's offer, Brenda, in a sudden, powerful moment of redemptive courage, lunged at him, creating a crucial, life-saving diversion. In the ensuing chaos, Lily broke free, screaming, and ran desperately towards Isabella. But Silas, now utterly enraged and blinded by pure malice, lashed out blindly with a heavy, rusted pipe, sending it crashing down directly towards Isabella. Would Isabella survive Silas's final, desperate act of vengeance? Or would this newfound, loving family be tragically torn apart, just as it began to truly form, leaving Arthur and Lily shattered once more? In a moment of desperate, divine intervention, Arthur instinctively pushed Isabella aside with all his remaining strength, taking the brutal brunt of Silas's desperate, wild blow himself. He collapsed heavily to the ground, a sharp, searing pain engulfing him, but his eyes were fixed on Isabella and Lily. "Arthur!" Isabella screamed, her voice torn with anguish, cradling his head as Lily now sobbed uncontrollably beside her, her small hands clutching Isabella's uniform. Ethan's tactical team, bursting through the warehouse doors with precision, swiftly apprehended Silas and Brenda. Both offered no resistance, their faces now etched with utter despair and chilling defeat, their malevolent reign of terror crumbling around them. "It's finally over, Silas," Ethan stated gravely, his voice cutting through the lingering tension, the long, painful ordeal finally reaching its end. Arthur, though severely injured and in immense pain, slowly, painstakingly opened his eyes. He saw Lily, safe and sound, tightly clutched in Isabella's loving arms, her sobs subsiding into quiet whimpers. "You're safe," he whispered, a weak, genuine smile of profound relief gracing his lips. This, for him, was his true, most cherished victory, more precious than any fortune. Silas, utterly defeated and unhinged by the public disgrace and Brenda's betrayal, was taken into custody, facing a mountain of irrefutable evidence provided by his former ally. His cruel reign of terror was officially over, his malicious empire dismantled, and Arthur's company was finally secured, free from his destructive grip, a new era dawning. Arthur made a full recovery from his injuries, profoundly grateful for Isabella's quick thinking and Brenda's unexpected last-minute redemption. Justice was served, and the long, arduous legal battles faded into a bitter, distant past, leaving only scars that would eventually heal with time and love. True to his word, Arthur officially relinquished his claim to his vast inheritance from his wife's tampered will, understanding with profound clarity that the greatest wealth he had found was Isabella's unwavering love and Lily's radiant happiness. "I don't need the money, Ethan," he told his loyal lawyer, his voice filled with a quiet contentment. "I have everything I truly value right here in my heart." Arthur and Isabella, now inseparable and bound by shared trials and a burgeoning love, decided to marry in the very humble church where they had unexpectedly reconnected. They were surrounded by Lily, Aunt Maria, and their supportive, loving community, a beautiful testament to God's unexpected and abundant blessings. "You taught me what true love and unwavering faith truly mean," Arthur whispered to Isabella at the altar, tears of joy glistening in his eyes. Together, they founded a charity dedicated to community development and education, using Arthur's remaining resources not for personal gain, but to uplift the very neighborhood Silas had so cruelly tried to destroy. They lived out their shared Christian values of compassion, generosity, and service with every action. "This is our true purpose, Arthur," Isabella said, beaming with joy and fulfillment. Lily, radiant with pure, innocent joy, thrived immensely in her new, loving, united family, deeply connected to both her devoted father and her beloved Isabella. She often drew colorful pictures of their beautiful new life together, always, without fail, including the angel who had first brought light into their darkest hour. Arthur, Isabella, and Lily, now a complete and loving family, stood together in their new humble home, built within Isabella's vibrant, supportive community. Arthur realized his life of immense, isolated wealth had left him truly poor, but losing everything had led him to discover a profound love, an unwavering faith, and a true purpose richer than any earthly fortune. He learned that God uses the most unlikely moments, a declined card, a humble maid's selfless kindness, to reveal the most profound blessings, transforming even the deepest despair into an everlasting legacy of joy, hope, and beautiful redemption. If you followed along until the end, please like the video, write in the comments what you thought of the story's outcome, and take a moment to subscribe and activate the notification bell. Stay with me and watch the next video on the card appearing here on the screen. I'll see you in our channel's next story.